Hi, my name is Joe Vogelbacher. I'm a Master Cicerone and I'm the founder of Sugar Creek Brewery. Today I'm going to show you some tricks for tasting beer and getting a little bit more out of every sip. Here we have our Belgian Dubbel, one of my favorite beers. First thing I do to get myself into tasting mode is I make sure that I don't fill the glass up all the way to the brim because we want to get a good vigorous swirl. First step I do is I kind of smell the room, smell my environment, make sure that I'm not in an area that has outside aromas or it's going to interfere with my full sensory evaluation of the beer. I start down very low with a distant sniff and I swirl the beer and bring it to my nose until I can smell the aroma from the beer. Right about here I'm starting to pick up some aromas of malt and some candied sugar and almost a bit of dark chocolate aroma. And then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to bring it up to my nose and take a 1 second sniff. And I'll take it away. Then I come up, I'll take a 2 second sniff. And then the next thing I do is I do a covered swirl. Here I'm letting the aroma build up in the space in my glass. That's another reason why you don't want to fill it up all the way to the brim. Swirl it. Let the aromas build up and take a 2 second sniff. To get the best aroma and the best flavor from the beer, we're going to use a technique called Retronasal Tasting. Here we're going to take a sip of the beer, let it coat all around your palate, swallow, and then breathe out your nose. That's the final step. Another technique that some people use is actually pinching their nose when they take a drink of it, and then they'll release their nose when they breathe out, and that kind of awakens the senses and lets you know what it really tastes like. You breathe forcefully out through the nose, and you can get the full sensory experience that way. In some cases, when I'm really trying to dive in to figure out what the flavors of the beer, I do another technique called the DriveBy, and that's just basically driving it by your nose like this. There are some chemicals in the beer, sulfur compounds, DMS in particular, the skunky smell that you get sometimes from a bottle of Corona, and in which case, if you really dive in and take a big sniff, you're going to go nose blind to it. That's called anosmia. And we want to avoid that, so I just want to take a quick smell, kind of find out if the beer's been exposed to light, or it's been light struck, or has some DMS, some sulfur compounds, and I utilize that drive-by technique. So with a little bit of extra steps evaluating your beer, you can get a lot more enjoyment out of it. And each and every time that I'm doing a full write-up on one of our beers at Sugar Creek or one of our guest beers, or if I'm in a competition or if I'm judging beer, I go through this routine every time I take a sip of the beer. And you don't need a huge amount. You can just take a little bit of a sip and swallow, and that's enough to tell you a whole world of flavors going on within the beer.